All right, Radio Land, welcome back to 6 Degrees here on CKLU 96.7 FM, CKLU.ca, and of course that Radio Player Canada app. We are getting into all good things heavy, as we always do, an hour or two here on the program, and I have got the distinct pleasure of bringing back one of my favorite Canadian heavy bands to have a chat here tonight. Infrared from Ottawa, Ontario has symbolized and embodied classic 80s thrash and various sorts for a very long period of time. They're back several albums in now after reuniting back in the actually, I'm gonna have to ask Armin in a couple of minutes when the actual reunite date was, because I don't think I ever asked that question in previous interviews, but we'll get to that in a second. The big thing we're talking about today, of course, is the return of Infrared with From the Black Swamp, their brand new disc that is actually almost a week old. It was released last week out there for the masses. So I welcome Armin back to the radio waves here on CKLU tonight. Armin, great to have you back, man.
Hey, Steve, good to see you, buddy.
Literally, since we're doing these things via Zoom these days, since COVID is still a thing in our midst, there are no in-person interviews or all that good stuff quite yet. But yeah, great to have you in from Ottawa, sir.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So Armin, From the Black Swamp seems like it was a very interesting project for you guys. There is a lot of emotion, a lot of intensity, and a lot of great thrash metal, all kinds of things that I love to string together in a sentence. You guys put this together and delivered a great album last week. How does it feel that we're almost to a week point that the release has been out?
We're feeling really good about it. I mean, we, like you said, we're like, this is our third full-length album. We haven't had an EP in there as well. And, from a release standpoint, the vibe that we're getting back on this one is powerful. A lot of good feedback. The reviews so far have been positive, very positive, and the response, and more importantly, so the response from fans has been off the charts, which makes us super happy because we love this album. We know it's our best work, and to get that sort of fed back to us from the people that we care about makes a big difference to us, and it makes us feel good. So definitely.
Could definitely hear that in the music, Armin. Now, some of the songs are ranging from the typical 3.5 minute pieces that you guys have put out on some of the previous releases, but you've got a couple of epic tracks, including the title track From the Black Swamp that is clocking in a little over 6 minutes, correct?
That's right. Yeah, just over 6.
So the diversity of what you guys are bringing to the table, it really feels like a great step up in terms of, me listening as a big fan of you guys, but also as your average listener sort of thing. There's a song for about everybody on the album. Was that an intentional piece as you guys were creating, or did it just kind of pan out that way?
Yeah, I don't know that we necessarily try to write so that we're trying to capture the ears of like a diverse audience. The writing style that we do is, looks like there's 2 main riff writers, right? Kirk and myself. Of course, everybody, and I always have to say this and clarify, we don't sound like we sound without the input of everybody helping with arrangements and all that stuff. But as far as the riffs and all that stuff goes, we tend to bring song ideas to the table. So you'll already get a diverse sound because of you got 2 different writers, and it's really interesting. Sometimes you'll see a review done and you can tell the reviewer just likes the Kirk riffs. You know what I mean? Like they're right up his alley. And then the next reviewer is like all about, the songs that or the riffs that I would have come up with. So it's, so that's how you're seeing this diverse attraction to from different people to different songs on the album. And as far as the length of the songs is concerned and all that stuff, we always just kind of do it based on what works for the song. So believe it or not, like From the Black Swamp, the title track, even clocking in at 6 minutes, had a lot of fat trimmed off it. Like we try to trim the song so that you're not wasting space. And so when you listen to that song, it changes up all the way through. So I'd be surprised if people got bored during that song. You get 2 verses, and the next thing you know, you're off into a bridge section, and then you're off into this epic ending. So, so we're very cognizant of that. And the longest track on the album, which would be the last song, which is Samita Domam, which is, we call it the instrumental with lyrics, which is sort of an oxymoron, but that one clocks in, I think it's 6.5 minutes and changes up so drastically throughout the song too. And I haven't had anybody say, it drags on or I got bored. So that's what we try to aim for, right?
Now, Armin, you've hit one of the things that really struck me as a listener, and full disclosure and transparency out there, Radioland. I've listened to this new album a lot over the preview period here, in terms of coming up to the release last week. And one of the things that really struck me is Infrared's classic thrash sound prevails through all the tracks, regardless of the experimentation. And I think that's one of the things that you know anybody who's a little critical of metal is always like, see, those guys changed their sound because they were trying to do a thing. You guys still sound like yourselves, regardless of what experimental pieces or experimental elements you've thrown into the mix. You referenced the last track, in particular, track number 12, with that epic quality. There's a bit of like acoustic arrangement in there as well, but it still has that really defining sound that says, yeah, this is an Infrared track. And maybe that's just a case of legacy and history, that you guys have figured out how to sound like yourselves regardless of what you're doing. Were there any interesting chats or any interesting debates around the jam room as you guys were finalizing the tracks around that kind of thing, Armin?
I wouldn't say so. Like the way we work, it's just so, I don't know. I kind of see it or call it like an effortless sort of approach to songwriting. So, like I said, like the riffs will be brought in, or sometimes an entire song structure will be brought in, but then how those drums are going to be applied, like how they're going to bring the character to the song. Al brings that to the table, or the bass lines. I mean, like my hats off to both Al and Mike for taking that rhythm section to like a whole new level on this album. They're good on all the albums, but the creativity, I think, really stands out on this one. So yeah, it's just sort of like this sort of cohesive, seamless effort, and we have this motto that nothing gets shut down. You try everything. So if somebody brings an idea, say, okay, let's try it. And when you do try it, right away if it's good or not. And nobody really nobody's like bringing something, go, this is my baby and you can't call my baby out. Like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And then we kind of move on. Or it does work, but then we'll say, okay, that worked, but let's try this next idea. Like for double bass, for example, like we'll say, we think this spot really needs some double bass. Like we need like that real attack, that real energy and stuff like that. And sometimes they'll go, yeah, it does. And I'll go, yeah, perfect. I like that. But other times they'll come in and go, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do more of like a standard thrash beat with a single kick and snares. You know what I mean? Or he'll replace what a double bass piece might do with like a tom in the snare and a kick drum, right? And it brings this whole new feel to it. And he did that in the last track, actually, one part where doing like quadruplet picks. And I was thinking, well, I want to hear quadruplet drums. And it's like, he didn't do that. And I'm like, I'm glad he didn't, because it sounds really good. So this is where that collaboration comes in, and that's how you create your own sound, I guess.
Now, you guys have had the benefit over the years of working a lot of stuff out in the jam room. The flexibility of ideas that have always come to the table within Infrared, especially over the last few albums. For new listeners out there that are maybe hearing from the Black Swamp as the first listen to Infrared, where would you guide them as some starting tracks to kind of get the spirit of Infrared? If they're going a little out of order here in track listing, Armin.
Well, I mean, that's probably in the order that we released the singles. The thing is, so this is one of those albums where we had a really hard time picking singles, or we would say, what's your favorite song on the album? And every week we all changed. It would be, this week it's this song.
Yeah.
But I would say like the title track would be a good one to listen to, which is the first single that we released and did a video for. All shot on a phone, by the way, for people who are interested in that type of backstory, as starring my daughter. So that would be a good one, because it covers so much ground, right? It has your thrash elements, it has your half tempo big chorus, it has an epic outro. It's a very layered song. That followed up by Evil Ascent, which was the second single that we put out. And that one's just, creepy as and you fill in the rest of that line. And now, I'm really happy with the production on that one too. So it's got like a little bit of ambient noise and stuff like that, and it really turned out. But it's just a kick you in the face kind of track. And then we're coming up in a couple of weeks, No Masters, No Gods. We're going to be putting out a video for that. But, having said that, like there's Lockdown, which is a really powerful song. That's the third track on the album, I think.
Yep.
We've got Eat Your Own, that's a mid-tempo, but it is just like, I think it's more of like a rock song, to be honest with you, but it still has those thrash elements in it. Very, yeah, it's just a very classic sounding metal song to me. And it always gets the toe tapping and the head bopping. So I could see that one doing well on radio, for a wider audience. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, good songs to identify out there, Armin, in terms of that list. And again, biased opinion here, folks out there in Radioland. It is a good listen through album. The sequence of this, I think, was very specifically picked, and I don't know if you want to comment on that a little bit, Armin, in terms of that, because it does have an epic quality of start to finish in terms of some good bookends and some good transitionary passages. I guess I'd like to say, given I'm still a big fan of listening to albums start to finish at the end of the day when an artist or a group release something new. So.
Yeah, well, the order definitely was thought out, and our thought process was we want a killer opener. So, so the first song, Tribal Junction, that is an in-your-face opener, and then we kind of followed through and said, let's, we picked the songs. We go on a first listen, would somebody go, wow, you know what I mean? And so we did all those on the first half of the album. And what we wanted to do was have it be relentless so that every song would lead you to want to listen to the next song. And by the time you got through it, you'd be like, you know what? And again, like this is us. This is how we feel about it. And a lot of people have given us the same feedback. But it's, they were waiting for the shoe to drop and hear the crappy song or the filler song on the album, and they didn't get it. Now, I'll give full disclosure that some people have said, well, I don't really like the chorus and Tradimento and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, that's fair enough, because it is a very melodic kind of, and it is almost pop metal. It's done for a very specific reason. It's also very far down on the album for a very specific reason, but it's still definitely a thrash song. And the verses are buzzsaw, but the chorus is supposed to be catchy and more poppy. That's for a personal reason, but I won't get into it here.
Yeah, fair enough, Armin. I love the fact that you just included buzzsaw in the middle of an interview. I love that. That doesn't scream thrash. What does?
Yeah.
Now, Armin, one of the things I wanted to point out for listeners out there, obviously we're on the radio, can't show visuals to you out there in Radioland currently, but you guys did some amazing stuff with the brand new website. So infraredmetal.ca, the impact, the video elements, and the big redesign on there actually creates an amazing experience for any fans who haven't voyaged over there recently. Can you tell us a little snippet about that and what inspired the big flip of the website in terms of the coinciding with the new release?
Well, what we do, I mean, like it generally has sort of a template feel to it, but when anything new comes out, we basically change up to reflect the artwork and the color scheme and all that kind of stuff. And then, on the bio portion, you can underlay one of our videos, right? So you'll see that playing in the background. Of course, you can't hear it. Normally, when you watch a video and you don't hear the music, it can look pretty ridiculous, but for some reason on the site, it kind of works, right? Like it kind of draws you in and makes you want to go see what that video is about. So yeah, I mean, it's just a rework and just putting, updating our images, our like promo pictures and that kind of thing, just to keep it current. So that's pretty much the story behind it.
Yeah, fair enough. I definitely support that idea. Going to check out the underlaid video there as well. It may be stereotypical to some metal fans out there to have a warehousey video, but this one's actually really awesome out there. Radioland, you got to go check this out. So.
Yeah.
Now, Armin, as we finish off here tonight here on 6 Degrees, obviously we've talked a little bit about the content, all that good stuff. Obviously, I want to give you a chance to plug. Where's a great spot to either grab the album, grab some merch, support the band as we're still struggling through some COVID times. Because obviously we want you guys to keep creating, given you're delivering us a great slab of metal. Where would you point people to in terms of hitting up merch and all that good stuff to support the band?
Well, they could go to our main website. But the best place right now to get all things infrared would be infraredmetal.bandcamp.com.
Nice.
And yeah, so you can get us digitally there. You can buy the physical CDs. We've been shipping them out like crazy this past week.
Nice.
You can get our shirts. We got a new shirt out, and we're going to be ordering a new set of shirts too, with a slight redesign coming up shortly of the album artwork. And we got new patches, the nice infrared logo we'd like to see on some battle vests. So yeah, so that's where you go.
All right, thanks for that, Armin. So as we finish things off here tonight, I understand there is a show booked so far for November. Is that still a go for down in Ottawa, or has that been postponed due to COVID, the COVID fourth wave flux?
So Ottawa's been pretty stable. Been keeping
Okay.
an eye on it. We're hovering around between 350 and 400 active cases a day. Not new ones, but just in total. So, we haven't hit critical. Usually things start to shut down when you start going over 1,000. So knock on wood, it stays like that. It seems like, whether you're for or against vaccines, I don't want to get into that topic, but it seems like the vaccines are doing their thing, because the fourth wave hasn't killed us, right? And Ottawa's known for being highly vaccinated. So the numbers speak for themselves. So I'm hoping that maintains, and because it's going to be the first and last show for us this year, guaranteed. And then hopefully 2022 brings us a little more freedom to get out there and travel and hit your neck of the woods, hit Montreal, Toronto, Kingston, whoever will have us.
Fair enough.
Out of the country, yeah, out of the country would be nice too.
Well, I'm sure you're going to get some interesting response from over in Europe on this one, in terms of this round. But perhaps that's a conversation for another interview. So just to loop back quickly, of course, that's for the show at Mavericks coming up in Ottawa. That is still on a go at this point in time. It's November 27th, and on the bill with the infrared is going to be Enforcer and Thunderdome coming up for that one. So anybody in the Ottawa area who happens to be listening here tonight here on 6 Degrees, definitely mark that in your calendars and go support the boys as they're doing their thing, and with this wonderful slab of thrash metal. So sir, like I said, like I've been a big proponent of you guys since I first heard the new stuff, going back several albums now. Best of luck with the new release, Armin, in terms of From the Black Swamp, and we look forward to the singles and the videos to come, and all the other good stuff, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Awesome, Steve. Appreciate all the support, and you rock.